wanted to put together some of the more authentic clips from our vacation. Even before we went to Europe, we knew months ago that we were going with all of his family. We went with 3 different families. I was like, oh, maybe we should rent a drone. Maybe we should get really serious and take amazing pictures and like be bloggers. But I was going through a lot of things and thinking about how I wanted to be perceived and who I wanted to be just as a person. Not to say that I don't like that kind of thing. I love that. I think it's so beautiful. I love the way that content is created. It's just I wanted to try it a different way than I would normally do it, because I'm very into that perfectionist look when it comes to things like social media, which can be a bad thing, but we'll get into that in another video.
I like me better when I'm with you. I don't know what it is, but I got that feeling.
The first stop on our trip was Iceland. We stayed in Reykjavik, and the hotel we stayed in was this really quaint old building with restored rooms. There was spiral staircases, there was a rooftop deck. Our room was pretty modest. It had like a bathroom and had its own little balcony thing. It was actually a really, really nice hotel. And some of the rooms were all different. So since we had such a large group, we pretty much like ran the hotel. There were so many of us. It was a quite small hotel. It was across the street from the bakery called Sandholt. If any of you guys know about that bakery, it's a famous bakery. And Justin's birthday was actually over the trip. It was August 14th. So that day I planned a surprise with everyone in the biggest room that we had. I got a bunch of macaroons and a cake, as well as some like cream puffs, just like, it was so fun to just go out and like get something from a local bakery. It just felt like I was part of like the town and kind of contributing. So Iceland was amazing, and we did so many things. You guys saw the glacier hike, we went to the Blue Lagoon, we went to the Secret Lagoon, and we also just drove along the countryside because you do a lot of driving in Iceland. Everything in Iceland is very, very expensive, and I didn't really have the money to spend like $500 on a jacket, so I picked this up from the black sand beach. It was like a 45-minute walk from the car, so like 4 kilometers. And so I actually just ran myself to the black sand beach, and I found this alone kind of while I was just reflecting on the trip. And I like being alone since it was so many people. It was kind of, it became hectic at times, you know, like real life stuff. But I found this on the beach, and I thought it was so beautiful because I just love driftwood. Throughout the whole trip, I did do a lot of Insta stories, and I just think that's such an easy way to stay in the moment while posting content that's actually happening. So if you missed out on that, make sure to follow me, because that's one way that I get all of my content out there for you guys to see in a really, really quick way. Now on to what I got in Amsterdam, because I bought more stuff there. Their exchange rate is very close to the US because they use euros. In Iceland, they use kroner, or krona, I believe, and so everything was crazy. But back to the euros in Amsterdam, it was a lot cheaper, a lot closer to what it is in America. The first place I got something was this place called We Are Labels, and I got these 2 cups for our bar cart / bar shelf that's in the living room. One kind of has like a little bit of designs. It reminds me a little of Anthropology, but all their cups there, a lot of them had gold rims and just made them feel really luxe. The next item in the haul, which is this book. This may seem like a plain book. It just has a picture of the Earth on it with a rocket ship blasting off. It's called De Sprong in Het Heelal by Boonstel Lay. In this book, Justin and I were walking through an alley in Amsterdam, and they were having a book sale out of their storage unit. I picked this book up because we were looking for a cool coffee table book to get. We found one that was like 20 euros, which was really cool, but we just kept looking, and it was amazing what we found. So it's actually illustrations of what space looked like when there was only telescopes and when no man had ever been to space or any of the other planets. We didn't know what they looked like. It wasn't from satellite because that didn't exist at the time. And so he drew photos. He was commissioned to draw these photos of what space would look like just using his imagination. And I thought that was just like the most amazing thing. And there's even some really awesome like newspaper clippings in the book. And it was just so sweet hearing about it from the old man that was selling the books. It felt like just so cool to see a part of history and actually have it retold by someone who, he said he was obsessed with this guy when he was a little boy and how he saw space. And so I felt like the book was special to him too, so I was glad that we got to bring home something that would be special in our home, and I'll always remember that story. One of my favorite things that we did on the trip was go to the Anne Frank house. I had been so obsessed with just learning as much as I can about Jewish culture and the Holocaust and their religion and things like that. So it just so happened that Justin's family is Jewish, so it was great to experience it with a room full of people who actually were of that heritage. I thought that was really powerful, and I think that there's just so much to be learned from Anne Frank and just in history in general. So I picked up a couple of old photographs or postcards from the Anne Frank Museum, one of her family, her and her sister, the actual house, and the bookcase where they were behind, along with a little picture of Anne Frank at her desk that I'm going to send to my family back in Arizona, because that was just such a special thing. The highlight of my entire trip was the Anne Frank house. It was just beautiful. I'm not quite sure how to describe this next store that we went into, but it was more of a regular store that was in Amsterdam, and it had very, very expensive, like high-end women's and men's clothing. It had a cafe and it had home decor in it, along with like kitchenwares. So I'd never seen a store laid out like that in the US, and they had bowls for like $3,000. So I kind of didn't want to touch any of those things. So I just got this little cup. It's actually a ceramic cup that looks like it's crushed, and I thought that it was so just kind of like interesting to look at, and I thought it was something I'd never seen before. And I really like to attach smells to time periods in my life, so I got a candle. It's diptyque, and the candle, even though you can buy these in the US, I got this one for a special reason. But this candle is called Ode. I think it's pronounced oat, but this is actually an oat. And there's a neighborhood in Amsterdam called Oat West, and it was something that the guy from one of the other boutique stores called We Are Labels told me about when he was describing neighborhoods of Amsterdam when I asked him for tips on where locals like to go. So that, coupled with the smell of this candle and just the whole story behind why I picked this exact scent, because I didn't even know they had a scent called oat. But yeah, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm not sure. But I have had such a strong inkling to try to learn Dutch, and I even went to one of the bookstores and the guy talked to me for like 20 minutes on how to best learn the language. But this candle, it smells kind of woodsy and fiery. It's a great fall scent. I really, really love it. And most of all, it just is gonna remind me of my trip to Europe, my first time. I also got a cute box of matches to go along with the candle, just to, you know, another little thing to remind me, like nothing I got was too expensive. I tried to not spend so much money and just really enjoy the trip, because I'm so thankful that I finally made it to Europe. I literally wrote down in a notebook a few years ago, one of my goals was to go to Europe before I was 22, and I'm 24 now, but you know, you should never give up on your goals, because I finally made it to Europe and I learned so many things. It was such a great experience, and it wasn't all pretty. I definitely had some growing pains along the trip. There was some family drama and things like that, but really all in the end, I just choose to think about what the trip taught me and what I can learn from the entire experience. If you guys want to hear more about my experience or see more, just follow me on the other social medias like Facebook and Instagram. I don't use Snapchat anymore, sorry. But you can catch me on Twitter as well. And I really just love the connection we can have with each other, and you guys talking to me, and just like, I'm still here, and I'm still making videos. I was just going through kind of a rough patch, which I can also talk about in another video. But a lot has changed in my life and in me, and Europe was just another thing that helped to shape me into who I am. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you want to see more videos, and also leave a comment on what type of videos you want to see from Europe. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I'll be posting those videos in the coming week. And that's about it. I guess I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys.